those who don't know, I recently just had my 20-week appointment where we found out the gender of our baby, and this is the first time that I'm going to be sharing it online. So I'm really excited to share that with you, but stay tuned for the story. I think for both me and my husband, we didn't really have any sort of expectation or desire when it came to what gender our baby was. We are planning, Lord willing, to have a big family and live intentionally with that, and be super intentional with all of our children, no matter what gender they are. So it wasn't one of these things where we're like, oh my goodness, like I really want this type of child. I think for a lot of people, maybe they've already had like 3 boys and then they're like, oh, hopefully this one's a girl, or maybe it's the other way around, or they just have like this expectation for what they thought they would be as a mother, and so they're like anticipating a certain gender or hoping for a certain gender. But with me and my husband, because we're like, okay, well, we'll have so many more kids, we have so many more chances for any gender, it really didn't matter whether our baby was a boy or a girl, and we would love them so much either way. And either way, no matter if we do get all of one gender or all of another, which would be very unlikely, but I have heard of people where it's happened before, we would be super excited either way and would just love that child so much. But it is kind of fun to figure out what gender of baby you're going to be having and start planning for that. One thing that I'm a little hesitant about with knowing the gender is I was hesitant to share with people what the gender was, but we decided to go ahead and do that. For one, because most people are going to want to know, so if they know that you know, that can get a little bit sticky if you don't tell them. And another reason too is because it'd be really hard to try to keep that a secret from everyone. I feel like it would definitely come out, and then if it came out, then it's like, okay, great, well then these people know and these people don't know, and like this family knows and this family doesn't know, and a whole ordeal. So we did decide to find out on the gender, and we did decide to share with people, even though I still hoping for as many neutral / ungendered clothing and nursery decor as possible. But you know how it is with people. I mean, once they know the gender, you're gonna want to buy clothes for them for that specific gender, and I'm just hoping and praying that if we ever have a child of the opposite gender, I'm sure that people will also buy clothes and stuff and all the fun stuff for them as well. I'm hoping that it doesn't make it into this like consumeristic, oh, let's buy everything for the baby and just get a bunch of stuff that, you know, you don't need, or hopefully it doesn't turn into that with knowing what the gender is. And that's always I guess that's the negative of figuring out the gender. There are still a ton of positives. It's super fun to look forward to your baby kind of knowing what it is. It makes the baby feel a little bit more real. We can call it baby boy or baby girl, depending on whatever gender it is, instead of just baby. And so it makes it kind of feel a little bit more real. We're super excited to figure out the gender. Of course, everyone else was super excited to hear what the gender was as well. So we went to the doctor's appointment, and really they just like had me come in, and it was a little surprising because I was like anticipating, you always anticipate at these doctor's appointments that they're gonna like kind of give you some guidance, like, hey, I'm going to start your ultrasound. How do you want me to tell you what the gender is? Do you want me to tell you right away? Do you want me to write it in a card? Do you want me to blah, 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 blah? Like usually, I feel like with most people's hospital experiences, they have had those questions asked. We were not, and that's fine. We were just gonna have the ultrasound tech tell us anyways, but all of a sudden he was like, oh, what do you guys think it is? And I had thought it was gonna be a girl. My husband didn't really think either way, but he just said that since I had thought that because I'd had a dream that it was a girl, but then I had other dreams where it was a boy. So I was explaining all that to the technician, and then a second after that, he's like, well, it's a boy. So we are having a little baby boy come sometime in April probably, or March, or maybe May. I don't know that it would come in May. based on the due date. It would have to be pretty late to come in May, but probably March or April, we will have our first little baby boy to our family, which is gonna be so fun. And something that's really cool about that is I've always imagined myself as a boy mom and having little boys. I've actually always imagined myself having both girls and boys. So, I mean, obviously I've imagined both scenarios because, you know, I always wanted a lot of children, and with that comes generally a couple different genders, both. But I was really excited for that because I've always liked watching little boys whenever I'm babysitting or whenever I worked for the daycare. Little boys were always so much fun. I am a very energetic person. I like to be moving. I don't know, maybe I'm ADHD or something, but I feel like sometimes I'm kind of like a little boy myself. Like I'm like, okay, I have energy. Like I'm just gonna go walk around the house or gonna go do these random things. And my husband is like, why are you walking? Why are you like just randomly, you know, moving? I don't know. I just want to like feel like I have so much pent up energy. So I think that that'd be something that's really fun for me, is just having a little boy to play around with and just be a ball full of energy. And also too, obviously there's stages of your life where you are less energetic than others. During my first trimester, I was a lot less energetic than I am now, or than I was like in my normal life. And obviously if I have less sleep, I'm a little less energetic. So obviously there's ups and downs to that, but I am excited for like all the possibilities that that'll have with our first little one. I think that having a little boy will be really a lot of fun because there's so much play activities that you can do. I'm a little worried because right now we don't have a ton of like outside area, and we just have like, we don't really even have a little backyard because we're in an apartment right now. So that worries me because I think even for girls, obviously I would want them outside a lot, but for little boys especially, you want to be able to have them run off some energy. Luckily, when they're a little baby, they are not running off energy. They are literally just laying there, kicking their legs. So it will be very exciting. So I'm excited for all the little baby boy stuff. And what's really cool too is we have a nephew who will be about 5 years older, give or take, 4 or 5 years older than this little boy, which obviously that's kind of a large age gap between like two kids. I remember I have older cousins. I have an older boy cousin who's 4 years older than me, and then I have an older boy cousin who's 7 years older than me. Yeah, that's right. So I wasn't necessarily like super close with them because there were other cousins who were closer to my age, but I think that because they won't have anyone closer to their age, that they'll still be able to have a really great relationship. And I know my boy cousin who were around my age, like a year and a half from me or 3 months from me, were even closer and had a really great relationship, even with the boys that were like 4 years older or 7 years older. And so I'm excited to see these two little boys doing their thing. And obviously, you know, when they're little, it's not happening, but as they grow older, you know, punching each other and scraping up their legs. And I'm very much for children playing and having fun, and I am not one of those people that's like super, I mean, if someone gets hurt, like yes, you take care of it, but I mean, I was that type of kid who I was climbing trees, breaking my arm, I broke my finger, I practically broke my face one time. So I was like that type of kid who I'm like, I want to do all of the things as a little bit of a tomboy myself. And so I would love to see my little boys like just doing things together, and like, well, they're not both mine, but the two little cousins, like being able to do things together and wrestle and just be boys together. And I think that that's like really, really important, is this playtime that they get to have that's very rough and tumble. And I think that's very important for little boys, and even for girls in general. I think most people kind of turn into wimps as they grow older because they haven't had some sort of boy in their life to toughen them up. And so I think that little boys, especially even with the age gap, I think it'll be really good for and just character growing too, because you're learning how to deal with other people and grow with other people. And once again, like, that's another reason my husband and I desire a big family, is because of that character building that grows with being able to deal with other people and deal with other people's emotions and learning to interact and communicate in good ways. And I think that it will just be a really good character building experience and just a lot of fun for them and for our future children. Excited to see this little one and see what he looks like and everything. We were excited to get those pictures. But yes, we are having a little boy. If you want to follow along, I have been talking about pregnancy and then faith, finance, and wifehood as my topics, which is quite a broad category. Lately, I think I've been focusing in more on homemaking and lifestyle, like faith integrated with the lifestyle, and building this life that is very intentional, dating intentionally, being married intentionally, like having intentionality in your children and in your relationships and in your thought process and in your worldview. And so if that's something that you want to follow along for, go ahead and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much.